I just got a new laptop right here. This is the Geekbook X14 Pro. And as you can see, that ain't Windows, that is Linux. So should you be installing Linux right now at this point in time in your life, or should you stay on Windows? Right now, if you're on the newest, latest, greatest version of Windows, you're probably on Windows 11, 24H2, or 25H2, God forbid. And it's a nightmare. It is just an absolute mess of AI slop, crashing, updates that break things. People couldn't even click on the start menu. So Windows 11 is a mess. And it seems like the powers that be over at Microsoft, instead of like acknowledging that it's a mess, what they keep doing is complaining about the fact that you're complaining about their broken operating system and all the AI that they're shoving down your throats. They're like, why don't you like it? Isn't it delicious? Isn't it delicious? Eat up, you goose. Eat up, you goose. Eat up, you goose. They're going to cut out your liver. If you're still on Windows 11 and it's like the regular version of Windows 11, not the version you're not allowed to have LTSC, that you're not allowed to install, if you're on the regular version, well, Linux at all costs, just yes, unless you're not allowed to install LTSC. Let me show you something right here. You see that price? That's what a retail key costs. That's silly. I always get OEM keys because they work and they're a fraction of the cost. And right now I use whokeys.com to unlock my copies of Windows. I've been heavily advocating for the of Windows because they don't have recall, they don't have any bloat, they don't have any spyware. The Windows 10 IoT has extended support until 2032, and then we have Windows 11, which is very similar to 10 once you strip all the nonsense off of it, and that has support until October 10th, 2034. You also have Windows 11 Pro and Windows 11 Home, and just ignore these prices, we're going to make them better. We got Windows 10 Pro, but we're at the end of life on that, so I would recommend grabbing. And then we have two different flavors of Office 2016 Pro and Office 2019. These are offline versions, so you don't have to pay the monthly subscription fee. You just do the one-time fee, and then you're not going to have Copilot installed inside your copy of Office that's always watching your stuff, which is weird that Microsoft is doing that now. But yeah, this is a way to get around all that. Just don't sign in with your Microsoft account. So look at all these prices. We've got a coupon over here for the Halloween sale, but let's just go through Windows 11 Pro and I'll show you how to save even more money with coupon code TS25. Let's go ahead and check out with our copy of Windows 11 Pro. All right, just put in my card info. There we go. Click on View Keys and Codes. Once you get to the User Center, click on Get the Key. You'll see your key right here in the middle. Go ahead and highlight that, copy that. All right, here we just need to press Start and then type Activate. You'll see Activation Settings. Go ahead and click on that. And then right here it says Not Active. That's okay. Just click on Change Product Key. Paste in our product key, press Next, and then click on Activate. Hey, look at that. Active. Now I can come back over here and change my wallpapers and everything else. Great. Don't be messing around with those exorbitant retail keys. Grab an OEM key. Head over to whokeys.com. Thanks to them for sponsoring. And now on to our regularly scheduled program. So anyway, I've got Linux on this laptop, and as soon as I installed it, I noticed a few things that just stopped working. So I want to kind of talk about some of the caveats that you're going to have when you go over to Linux, because it's not just, hey, it all works. Hey, it's much better. Because I feel like a lot of the YouTube videos that are out there talking about Linux are singing the praises and talking about, hey, it's the land of freedom. Yes, you're free to break things. You're free to get confused. You're free to go onto forums and have people respond to you in condescending ways. Yes, you're free to do all that stuff. But once you get good, maybe it's the best solution for you. If you don't have time to get good, you know what? Let's just break it down. I'm going to do a little bit of a show and tell here. God. There it is. All right, let's get into my thing. It's all giant and bubbly because I changed the resolution for your benefit, because this is 2880 by 1440 and that looks really tiny. So everything's all big and bubbly right now, just so you can see everything. All right, so I want to map a network drive because I have Fuyin and I want to be able to play my music that's on the NAS. And I'll just show you how this works. So this is Dolphin. It comes with Plasma, which is my operating system, or not operating system, my desktop environment of choice. I really like KDE Plasma. So anyway, I'm going to go over here to my network, and if my device does not show up, I'm going to have to come up here just like in Windows and type it in. So whack whack. Okay, it wants my authentication. All right, so this is going to give me access to my NAS, and this is just an SMB share, not an NFS or whatever. So I want my music, right? So if I just come over here, where's my music? There it is, right there. And I can right click on this and just add it to places. Where's that? There we go, add to places. Sweet, there it is. And now every time I hop on here, I can just go right here and there's my music. So cool. That seems pretty easy, right? But check this out. Let's go over here and let's just go ahead and add some of that stuff. I'm going to configure it up and I'm going to add some paths here to my library. Over here, music, and then I'm going to come down. I'm just going to add my, whatever, my dungeon synth. I like all that stuff. There we go. Apply. So it'll start monitoring it. There's the path, SMB dot 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 blah blah blah, right? And after a while, I've noticed that no music's showing up right here. Scan for changes, reload tracks, scan for changes. Nothing is showing up. I don't know. It's not really getting the full, location. And you know why? Because whenever you mount something with places over here, yeah, it puts a little link right there, but it's not doing a full-on mount in Linux. It's not actually mounting this the proper way so that different programs can use it. It's not like, Windows. Let me just show you how that works on Windows. How about it? So on Windows, if I wanted to map a network drive, run command and go whack whack, put in the IP address of my NAS. It'll give me a gigantic list of shares, and I can just right click on this one and do map network drive and pick a drive letter, and it's done. That's it. That's it. And then once that's done, now I have an M drive, wherever the hell it is. Right there, M drive. And it's always going to be there, and it's seen as a hard drive in Windows. This is now my M drive. It's the same as a local drive. Essentially, it still has a couple caveats. When you drag and drop things, you have to add it to your safe lists and all that, but it's fine. It works just like a regular hard drive. All right, so over here, it doesn't actually work that way. So if I want to actually do this, well, I'm going to have to go up here. Let's go back to, I'm going to have to actually go back up to my root directory right here. And then I'm going to go to etc. To pull up a cheat sheet. See, you're going to end up doing a lot of this kind of stuff while you're in Linux. You'll be like, okay, where do I go? Okay, I end up over here. And it's like, okay, so I need to go. That's how you mount it, right? You have to type all this stuff in and mount it up. So, okay, I've got to do this, but that's not what if you do this, whenever you reboot your computer, it's going to go away. So you have to come down here and be like, oh, I've got to go to my etc. fstab file and add something like this to the bottom of the fstab file. All right, so then I'm going to go over to Linux, go to, etc., and I'll just find fstab. Oh, shit, where is it? There it is, fstab. And I'm just going to open this with Kate. You should be doing this in the command line with nano because Kate I don't think it has sudo. So what I'm going to have to do is actually come down here to the bottom and just add a big old line like this. And then you have to mount it somewhere. So I'm going to mount it to home, MNT. I'm just making these folders. You can put it in any folder you want, and then music. There, cool. Yeah, we'll do CIFS since it's Windows and all that stuff. And then username. And you see here, we're putting a password in just regular, this is not how you should be doing this. You should be creating credentials files that are encrypted and then having this access the credentials files. So, I'm just going to put like a, nonsense in there. We're just doing this for show and tell, right? And then, so this is going to tell it to mount, right? And when your computer boots, it'll look at this file and be like, oh, I should mount this. And if this directory right here does not exist, it'll break. So now I got to make sure that this directory exists. So what I'll have to do is come back over to Dolphin, go to my home directory. And let's see here. What did I said mount, right? So create new folder. There we go. And inside here, a new folder called music. There. Now it exists. So what it'll do is this music folder, if anything's in it, you won't be able to access it after you do this mount. So make sure it's an empty folder. Always a good idea. And then, whenever you run this, it'll mount it right there. So now here's the other thing. Like sometimes if you're traveling or whatever, and you try to boot your computer, if you don't write the correct things in that line to tell the computer if it can't, mount that drive, just to leave it alone, like give it a timeout or something like that. I've seen some people who've written that in there. They've tried to boot up their computer and then it won't boot because they're traveling. They're not at home. They're not on their home network, and their computer starts trying to mount that stupid thing and then it won't. Some versions of Linux will get around that. Some won't. Some will get stuck right there and you won't even be able to boot. So you're going to have to make sure you write the line in a way. I forget what the actual thing is. I don't know. There's a phrase you put in there on that line. I'm not a pro with this. That's, you tell it, hey, if you can't mount that drive or you can't mount that whatever, just keep on booting. It's all good. So there's all these little things you got to do. Now, let's say you're using SteamOS or Bazzite. Those are immutable. So every time you update those, the system stuff whatever you've changed in the system stuff gets undone. It like rewrites your fstab file. So I've got a Steam Deck and I've got a bunch of stuff mounted, and every time the Steam Deck updates, it deletes all of my mounts and I have to go back in and put them all back in. So I've saved the text document in my home directory. With something like Bazite or SteamOS that's immutable, you can't mess with the system files like this. You can only mess with stuff in your home directory, and it's safe and it's easy to roll back and it's easy to like have a nice version of Linux that's not very breakable. But you know, you can't really get nerdy and do things in the system folders and stuff. So that's kind of the downside right there. Maybe you'll get pretty quick with this kind of stuff and you'll just figure out where to go to ask the right questions, and hopefully you'll find a good support group online that can like help you along the way. Linux is fussy. Now, if you don't do anything like that, if you just have a computer and you want to do some simple stuff, then it's fine. If you're not doing anything too nerdy and too fussy, it's kind of ironic that, in my opinion, it's much easier to do some of this nerdy stuff on Windows with just a few clicks. You can do it on Linux and you can do it really well, probably better than Windows, but not easily. And that's the way it is for a lot of stuff. Another little thing that kind of frustrated me with this was that I wanted to play one of my new games, and I have a bunch of mods on it. So the mods that I'm using, some of them don't work with the Linux version of the game, but there's a Linux version that, you know, when I installed it in Steam, it installed the Linux version. So I wanted to use those mods, so I was like, damn, I can't use those mods. So I had to uninstall it. And then you can actually go into Steam and say, go ahead and install the Windows version. But then I had to figure out how to copy over all the mods, and it was like a 2-hour ordeal of me trying to figure out how to copy over all the mods and where to put them and all that kind of stuff. But I got the Windows version working with the mods. It was just really frustrating, but it works. There's always going to be that kind of fussing. Once you get it all set up, and once you get your environment the way you want it, then it can really just work. But just if you're doing anything fussy, it can be tedious, it can be a headache. Just know that whatever version of Linux you install and whatever you need to do, it's going to impact your life. So if you've got no life and you want to learn how to use Linux, I'm not saying no life in a bad way. I'm saying like if you've got nothing to do and this is what you want to do as a hobby, yes, it's a great OS for a hobbyist. But if you'd rather not use the operating system and you'd rather use other software, play games, you know, like for me, the OS is cool and I've got a lot of nostalgia for some versions of the OS, but yeah, it's not really about that for me. It's about the programs I can use on top of the OS. It's about the games I can play and the applications I can run, because those allow me to create and have fun and do all that kind of stuff. And the operating system is really just there to facilitate everything. So that's my philosophy. But if you're an enthusiast for the actual operating system, then Linux is great. The alternative, in my opinion, is the version of Windows that you're not allowed to have. I got in trouble for mentioning LTSC or just saying, you know, anything about I can't encourage anyone, or else YouTube will shoot me with a rifle. It is America, after all, a high power rifle. You can talk about that kind of stuff, but you can't talk about using, you can't use it. You're not allowed to use LTSC. And I don't know where you can get keys for it either. Every now and then I get frustrated and I think, should I just install LTSC because it works? It doesn't have the AI slop. It doesn't have any of the nonsense. And I'm allowed to use it because I'm a professional. I'm allowed to. YouTube. Because I say so. So anyway, that's really the other option. It's like, if you got a lot of stuff that you need to do on Windows, but you don't want to use the AI slopified 11.25H2, then there's the version that you're not allowed to use that you can use. And I think it works great. It's the version we should have had. And whenever Microsoft screams and complains, I'm going to make this video every month, by the way, where I talk about this. Because this is the version of Windows that we should have. We should have this. We should be allowed to use LTSC because it is the version of Windows that should have been released to the public. Instead, we have to get the enshittified version. One more thing I'll say about Linux is, like, sometimes you'll install Linux, because this might be important to some people. Sometimes you'll install Linux on your laptop or something like I did with this one, and it won't support all of the functions. So let's just quickly tell you what I'm missing from this. This is the Geek-On Geekbook X14. So the functions work, except for the function to change the performance mode on the fly. And I can't figure out how to change the performance mode. One thing I've noticed is that in Linux, it's 99% quieter, but it also seems to be just running at like the lower performance mode because all my games are 10 to 15% slower. And, you know, at first I was like, oh, I really should go back to Windows. Maybe there's a way to go in, and I know I can tune up Linux and stuff, but it seems to be, you know, Geekom had some firmware that they've designed so that you can press Function and P and change between quiet and performance, and it actually changes the wattage that goes to the CPU. And I'm not sure if there's a way to change that inside Linux. I haven't figured it out yet. Maybe there is. Maybe Geekom will make something that allows me to connect to the firmware. So, yeah. I mean, I can use Keyed to like maybe even map this stupid Copilot button that's on the keyboard. That would be really cool. But after I started thinking about it for a minute, I was like, you know what? AAA games suck. I don't actually care. You know what I've been playing this week? This is what I've been playing all week because it's better than most modern games. Right there, that's me. That's where I live. And that's where I've been living. So I don't really need Windows because most of the games I play don't need that much. I do play MechWarrior 5 and all this stuff, but I need my HOTAS and all that business. I need all my things. I'm not going to carry around all my accoutrements. This is cool, by the way. If you like Looking Glass software games like, I don't know, Thief, Prey, Deus Ex, those kind of games, Dishonored, and you want to know where they all came from? They all came from this, which was, in my opinion, they were ahead of id Software at the time when it comes to 3D programming prowess. Everyone talks about John Carmack like he was the top of the world. He was, but so were they. Who worked on this? Some boys, Paul Neuwirth, that's who it was. Good old Paul Neuwirth. Produced by Warren Spector. Many people know from the Deus Ex games. They brought him in to basically run a comb through everybody's hair and be like, straighten up. I'm off on a tangent right now. You could have closed this video a while ago. Hopefully you've made your decision as to what you should do, but I wanted to, give you some caveats. People are just yelling and screaming about how good Linux is without telling you that you're in for a beating if you want to do anything fussy. You want to map some network drives? Oh, you got some stuff to learn. You want to mess around with some mods for games? Oh, you got stuff to learn. Oh, you got save files that are only on your Windows version, and this has a native Linux version that installed, and your save files don't work because they're for the Windows version, but you can install the Windows version on Linux. If you know what you're doing, you just got to install the right Proton version and go through and set it up to do that way, and then it'll work. It's all doable. Is it worth it to you? Maybe. That's enough. Goodbye.